The multiverse has taken us on a wild journey. There has been lots of firsts, and lots of lasts. From actors popping up as early as 2001, or even getting their start in a car commercial, to the teary-eyed goodbyes, we're covering those moments from all of the MCU Spider-Man movies. Number 1. Spider-Man was a third first for the fans, but a first for Tom Holland. Tom Holland has had more than a few first days shooting as Spider-Man. You've got his first appearance in Civil War.
At first, it was pretty terrifying.
But he navigated that situation with the help of a couple of seasoned pros.
I was always in such good hands and working with Robert very closely and Chris.
Now, his first day shooting Homecoming was a bit less stressful, with fewer A-listers to play off of, more noobs. He was now the guy who knew what he was doing.
It's so lovely to be on a movie of this scale, but with people that care about it so much, so it feels like we're making the biggest indie movie ever.
Number 2. The first day for Andrew and Tobey was a weird one for the baby of the little Spider family. The day the Spider-Men came together was one that caused great stress for Tom Holland, who had the date marked on his calendar. It was so daunting for him, he brought Zendaya and Jacob along to the set for support. Once Tom met Tobey and Andrew, he realized he had nothing to worry about. But the first thing the trio had to do together was a wee bit goofy. Tom said he thought it was a little strange, and almost a little unfair, how they had them put the suits on and just jump around in front of the camera together.
That was one of the most bizarre experiences of my life.
But he also described it as a roller coaster that he didn't want to get off of.
And it was just a lot of fun to be able to play with 3 guys in Spider-Man suits.
The one thing Andrew Garfield learned about returning to Spider-Man was that he has definitely aged a wee bit. He struggled just a bit getting back into the kind of shape where the spandex isn't gonna show everything up. I loved the challenge of it. It was harder as a non-mid-20s person. Number 3. Andrew and Maguire's entire part only took 2 weeks to film, and yet their appearances completely shook the universe. 2 universes, the MCU and our universe. Tom Holland has come a long way as Spider-Man. We can still remember the hesitancy from audiences before his introduction. A high school kid? What a ridiculous concept. Now we find ourselves bawling over his departure. It's hard to believe he's already been in 6 movies. Here's hoping another contract comes along soon. Tom described his last day on set as bittersweet, saying, "It's the first time since he was cast as Spider-Man that he doesn't have a contract following No Way Home." Unwilling to let the film end, Tom kept repeating his last stunt.
Now I was like, please don't take me out the wires. I want to keep doing this, keep doing this.
They all cried.
We were all erect, dude,
Yeah.
for like several days.
It was super emotional for everyone involved. This was cinematic history. The creative team had planned it out so that the cast's final day was together. A cruel kind of thoughtfulness. Number 4. Hi, I'm a big star, and I'm just playing some girl named Michelle. Being part of Homecoming was a bit weird for Zendaya because, of course, nobody knew she was MJ. Touring without spoiling that must have had her head spinning. But more stressful than that was her first day on set and her chemistry test with Tom Holland. She was so afraid she wouldn't get the role because she was taller, and it was a win for women everywhere when she did. Imagine Spider-Man without her. We don't want to. Number 5. Spider-Man is back, baby. Now he's got a guy in the chair. It was more like a finally moment for me. Jacob Batalon was just thrilled that Spider-Man was coming into the MCU at all, even before he was cast in the part. I've been waiting for a world where Spider-Man can get into the Avenger thing, just in general. It's safe to say, Jacob, like everyone else, had been waiting very patiently for a very long while. Number 6. Think you know May? Think again. Marisa Tomei just loved her first day working with Tom Holland, saying, "That first day was about that rush of energy together. He just made me laugh so much." It was very easy to fall into the rhythm with him. Tomei designed Aunt May to have some of the little things that the other Aunt Mays had, like an apron and her hair in a bun, and she loved to cook. So that's how her character was introduced. But these elements were quickly removed in the first scene. This allowed the audience to adjust to the new Aunt May in subtle ways. Number 7. It took a bit, but Tomei got that developed plot she'd really pushed for May. Marisa Tomei hasn't come right out and spoken about her last day in the movie.
Only my therapist knows the ending.
Honestly, that's fair. Carrying the weight of all those secrets would be a big responsibility.
had to be under oath, and I had to tell someone.
But for her, the experience was just wonderful. She stated, "It's wonderful to be with this particular cast, who everyone is so talented and so invested in their characters." Number 8. The MCU Spider-Man movies are fueled by improv, Angourie less so. Improv is not something Angourie has ever really done before, but her Midtown High news segments were chocked full of it. A lot of her improv came from needing to play off of her co-anchor, who was more comfortable with improving than her. Number 9. Looks like it's time to say Betty bye? Sorry if that pun made you cringe. For her last day, Angourie only had like a 10-second cameo, but we loved every bit of it. She didn't realize her line, "Go get 'em, Tiger," was an Easter egg that's been in the comics since the 60s, and is also the last thing Kirsten Dunst's MJ said to Peter at the end of Spider-Man 2. While she didn't get much screen time for this film, she did get to do a bunch of the promo material through Betty's internship, The Daily Bugle. Number 10. Tony is just a fanboy. He'd said, "It's insane. Every little kid dreams of being in a superhero film. It's a surreal feeling."
And then you see Tom Holland, who's, playing Spider-Man, walk on set in the costume, and you're just like,
Number 11. Starr never really got in on the superhero action, so his part was just alright to film. Martin Starr actually had his start as Roger Harrington in The Incredible Hulk way back in 2009. In the Spider-Man movies, however, he enjoyed his little part. Given Roger doesn't engage with Spider-Man really, just Peter Parker, playing Roger wouldn't have felt too different from Bill Haverchuck on Freaks and Geeks. For Martin, it was
great, interesting, weird, perhaps coming full circle now, playing a teacher.
Number 12. From driving teacher to teacher. Smoove had a weird entrance into the movies, playing a drive test instructor in a collaborative ad for Audi with Tom Holland playing Peter Parker. Smoove joined the cast for the second movie, Far From Home.
I'm a caring person on this trip with these young teens, and it's amazing, man, to be a part of the Marvel Universe, man.
He was at first hopeful to be a super, but
once I got into the Mr. Dell shell, I felt right at home.
Number 13. Superheroes don't need to be fearless, Tobey. They just need to face their fears head on. Tobey Maguire was unafraid of playing Spider-Man in the 2002 Sam Raimi film.
I'm not afraid, no.
Our respect and admiration for Tobey Maguire just grew.
Felt very comfortable. I mean, I wanted to do it right, but I felt confident that I could. And
the lack of fear may also come from a place of having plenty of time to warm up to the shoot, because they had rehearsal days. He had a workout regime that started 5 months before filming, and he had a ton of chats with the director about the character. Number 14. At first, Foxx was thrilled when he saw the Spidey costume. Years later, he was thrilled to see his own. Jamie Foxx's first day on the set for Amazing Spider-Man 2 was thrilling. He said, "You really get a sense of it when you walk on the set and you see Andrew Garfield in the Spider-Man suit.
Wow, this is really something in history."
No one will be able to take these moments away from him. Before he ever put the suit on, he wanted the characters to have a weight to them. Meaning his character feels Spider-Man is his friend, almost to the point of obsession. Number 15. The villain who's come a long way. Foxx's first day on set for No Way Home was exciting because the changes to his costume really lifted his spirits. This is such a shift from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it was the Spider-Man costume that got him excited.
It's been amazing, man, to be able to reboot the character, new look, new vibe.
We're loving the new look too.
Kinda got a flyness to him.
Foxx felt that the team's enthusiasm to collaborate and accommodate on things like costumes really made the whole movie better. Number 16. We applaud Dafoe for doing his own stunts, and he keeps up with Holland, who's like a third his age. Tom said, "I remember on the last day of shooting that fight scene when John said cut, Willem and I just collapsed to the floor because we were exhausted, and we just had to give him everything." He remembers chugging Red Bulls to try and keep his energy going. We wonder if Dafoe was chugging Red Bulls too. Number 17. Would Doc Ock have a weightlifter body if his tentacles are always doing the weightlifting? Alfred Molina lost some weight for the role of Dr. Octopus. Weight he'd gained for a character named Diego in Frida. He wanted Doc Ock to have the build of a 1950s weightlifter. Molina is a big fan of Marvel Comics and was excited about his role. He thought the crew on Raimi's Spider-Man 2 were the hardest working group of people he's ever worked with. All of these beginnings and endings have our heads spinning. If we don't think too much about the complications of time travel and universe hopping, it all makes perfect sense.
We're doing something that people people really love. This is part of our fabric, it's part of our culture.
J.K. Simmons expects to be in more Spider-Man movies, though, and has us hopeful for a 4th installment. Do you think we will see our friendly neighborhood kid from Queens again? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for hanging out with us here at The Things.